Hello class 11 students. Today we will discuss the last topic of chapter number 1, that is physical world. And the last topic is conservation laws. Actually, in any physical process, some physical quantities remains unchanged with time. These quantities are known as what? Conserved quantities. And the laws which governs the conservation of these quantities are called conservation laws. So we can say that during the process of change, certain physical quantities in fact remains constant. They do not change during the whole process. So they will be called as what? Conserved quantities, and the laws which governs these conservation is known as what? Conservation laws. For example, if we talk about mass, if the mass in a closed system is constant, like final mass is equals to initial mass, it means mass is not changing. It means we can say that mass is conserved over here. And the law which we use for this conservation of mass, we will call it what? Law of conservation of mass. Okay, now one word we are going to use over here, that is isolated system. What is isolated system? Actually, isolated system is any system on which no external force acts. That is known as what? Isolated system. So whenever we use this word, it should be in your mind that okay, fine, if we are talking about isolated system, it means no external force is acting on that particular system. External force is zero. Okay, so now if we talk about the conservation of momentum, if the total momentum of an isolated system is constant, or we can say that final momentum is equals to initial momentum, it means momentum is conserved, momentum is not changing, momentum is constant. And the law which governs this will be called as what? Law of conservation of momentum. Similarly, if the energy of an isolated system is not changing, if it is constant, then what we can write? Del E system is equals to 0. Del E means what? Change in energy. And if change in energy is 0, it means energy is not changing, energy is constant. So it will be called as what? The law will be called as what? Law of conservation of energy. So conservation laws, I think they are clear. The laws which governs the conservation of physical quantities which are not changing in any physical process is known as what? Conservation laws. And we have various laws of conservation, like we have law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of linear momentum, angular momentum, law of conservation of charge, etc., etc. So now we will discuss them in detail. First one is conservation of energy. And if we talk about the statement of law of conservation of energy, the statement is very simple. It states that energy can neither be created nor it can be destroyed, but it can be changed from one form to another. Okay, one example we can discuss over here, that when a ball falls freely under gravity, so its potential energy gradually changes into kinetic energy. But if we talk about the total energy, if we talk about the total mechanical energy, the total mechanical energy, it remains constant at every point of its motion. It does not changes. So this is what? This is conservation of energy. Similarly, one more example we can discuss over here, example of a simple pendulum. We know this thing, this is a simple pendulum, and we call it what? Bob. So when no external force acts on this pendulum, it remains static at this particular position, and this position is known as what? Mean position. And when a force is applied on this bob, what will happen? It will start oscillating. It will oscillate. So these position, this position and this position up to which the bob oscillate is known as what? Extreme position. So this position is known as what? Mean position. When pendulum was there, when no external force was acting on it, but when force is applied and if the bob is moving up to this much onto this side, so this will be the extreme position. Similarly, this will be the extreme position. So now when this bob, when this pendulum is oscillating, what is happening? The energy of the bob changes gradually from kinetic energy to potential energy as it moves from mean position to either of the extreme position. So right now if we talk about mean position, it has maximum kinetic energy. But when it moves towards this side to this extreme position, this kinetic energy will change into potential energy. So right now it is having potential energy, but kinetic energy will become 0. Now again it will move from B to A. So again now potential energy will change into kinetic energy. Now this bob will move to this side. So now again this kinetic energy will change into potential energy, and here again it will have maximum potential energy and kinetic energy will become 0. We know this thing why kinetic energy will become 0, because when the bob is at extreme position, its velocity will be 0, and if its velocity will be 0, kinetic energy will be 0, because we know this thing. It is, what is the formula of kinetic energy? Half mv square. So if v will be 0, kinetic energy will also be 0, and at this particular position this bob will be at some height. And if it has a height, it will have potential energy, because we know the formula for potential energy, that is mgh. Okay, so if we talk about this position, at this position no height is there, h is equals to 0, and if h is equals to 0, potential energy will also become 0. So this is how in the oscillation of a simple pendulum from mean position to either of the extreme position, energy is changing. Energy is changing from potential to kinetic as the bob moves. But at all the points of its motion, total energy of the bob remains constant. The total energy will not change, only the form of the energy is changing as it moves from mean position to extreme position. So this is conservation of energy, that the total energy of the system remains constant, it does not changes. So I think this is clear. Next we have conservation of linear momentum. Linear momentum, we understand, it is the product of mass and velocity. And the law of linear momentum states that if no external force acts on a system, then its linear momentum remains constant. One example we can discuss over here, this is the application of conservation of linear momentum, that a rifle, a gun, always gives backward kick on firing a bullet. Whenever a bullet is fired, the rifle recoils back with some velocity. So why is it so? That we need to discuss, and how it is related with conservation of linear momentum. So that we are going to discuss now. Okay. Suppose small m is the mass of the bullet, small v is the velocity of the bullet. Okay, and let us consider that capital M is the mass of the rifle and capital V, with which it gives backward kick, is the velocity of the rifle. So I think things are clear. Small m is the mass of the bullet, V is the velocity of the bullet, capital M is the mass and capital V is the velocity of the rifle. Now we know this thing, when no external force acts on the system, according to the principle of conservation of momentum, total momentum before firing is equals to total momentum after firing. So we can say that total momentum before firing, I'm writing it as Pi, is equals to total momentum after firing. So this is what initial momentum, this is what final momentum. So what it indicates, total momentum before firing. Now before firing, what is the total momentum of the system, of the rifle as well as of the bullet? It will be 0, because no firing was done, nothing was moving, V will be 0 for both. So momentum will become what? 0. So total momentum before firing will be 0, equals to. Now after firing, what will be the total momentum? See, if we talk about the momentum of the bullet, what will be the momentum of the bullet? We know the formula of momentum, mass into velocity. So for bullet, what will be the momentum? It will be m into v plus, what will be the momentum of the rifle? Again it will be mass into velocity. Mass of the rifle is capital M, velocity of the rifle is capital V. So we can write, I think this is clear. So the momentum before firing is 0, but momentum after firing is mv plus capital M, capital V. Now from here, if we want to calculate, suppose capital V, then what it will be? It will be, you will write it like this, mv equals to minus mv. When you will shift this mv that side, it will become negative. Then what will be the value of v? It will be minus mv upon capital M. So this is what, this is velocity of rifle. Now what does this negative sign indicates? It indicates that this v and this v are in opposite direction. Are you getting me? It means what? The rifle gives a kick in the backward direction, or we can say that, or the gun recoils in backward direction with velocity v. So that's why there is recoiling of a gun whenever bullet is fired from it. So I think this thing is clear. Now one more thing, if we see this v and this m is in denominator, what does it mean? It means that we know this thing, m is more. The mass of rifle is greater than mass of the bullet. And if this is greater, this will be small. We can say that they are inversely proportional. In that way we can also understand. So as the mass of the rifle is more, the velocity of the rifle will be less. So we can say that the recoil velocity of the gun is much smaller than the forward velocity of the bullet. I think this thing is clear, that the bullet moves in this direction, in forward direction, with this velocity, and this velocity is much greater than the velocity with which this gun recoils back. And what is the reason behind it? The reason is very simple: conservation of linear momentum. They just want to conserve linear momentum, and that's why accordingly the velocity is like this. The bullet moves in forward direction with more velocity, the rifle moves in backward direction with less velocity. So in order to conserve the momentum, the rifle moves backward with such a velocity that the final momentum of the system should becomes 0. So I think this thing is clear, that what is conservation of linear momentum. Next we have conservation of angular momentum. Actually we have two types of momentum: linear momentum and angular momentum. Okay, when we talk about linear motion, we talk about linear momentum, and it is represented by small p. One second. But when we talk about rotatory motion, when a body rotates, instead of calling this momentum as linear momentum, we call it what? Angular momentum. So whenever we talk about rotation, we talk about angular momentum, and this angular momentum is represented by capital L. Okay, so there are two types of momentum: linear momentum, angular momentum. Linear momentum we have already finished, that what is law of conservation of linear momentum. Now we need to discuss that what is the law of conservation of angular momentum. Okay, whenever we talk about linear momentum, we talk about force, that when no external force acts on a body, the momentum, the linear momentum of the system remains 0. But when we will talk about angular momentum, instead of using the word force, we will use the word torque. Okay, so when no external torque acts on a system, the angular momentum of the system remains constant. Okay, actually we have one chapter number 7. So there we will study it in detail, that what is angular momentum, what is rotational inertia, what is moment of inertia. But here I will try to make you understand that what are these. I will try my level best. Okay, now if we talk, this is what linear momentum and this is what angular momentum. Now we linear momentum, we know that. What is linear momentum? It is m into v, mass into velocity, mass into linear velocity. Now if we talk about angular momentum, formula of angular momentum is I omega. Okay, now here I is inertia, we call it rotational inertia or moment of inertia, and omega is what? Angular velocity. Things are very simple. Here we are using m. M is mass. Now inertia, I think you understand. What is inertia? The inability of the body to change by itself its state, whether it is in motion or it is in rest, but by itself it cannot change its state. This property is known as what? Inertia, and inertia is due to mass. And here also, if we talk about rotational inertia is also the same thing, that if a body is rotating, again the same thing, we can say that it cannot change its state until and unless an external torque is applied on it. So that is what inertia. So they are basically similar. Here we are talking about linear motion, here we will talk about rotational motion. That's it. And this is what linear velocity, this is what angular velocity. When a body will rotate, we will talk about angular velocity instead of talking about linear velocity. So we can say that this formula and this formula, they are quite equivalent. So I think this thing is clear, that what is angular momentum? It is the product of rotational inertia and angular velocity. Okay. Now, if we talk about this inertia, for inertia, for rotational inertia, we have a formula, and the formula is this. We used to write I equals to mr square. Okay, please try to understand that what is m and what is r. M is what? Mass of the body. Now, what is r? Now here, if you will see that here is one person and he is holding something in his hands. Suppose a weight is there in his hand. Okay, and what he is doing? He is rotating. He is rotating with these weights in his hands. So m is the mass. Now what is r? R is the distance of these masses from the axis of rotation. Are you getting me or not? Okay, so for this particular case, this will be r. Okay, and for this particular case, r will be very, very small. One second. R is very, very small, like this much I can say. Now, what is the difference between these two? In this particular picture, we can say that this person has stretched his hands. The hands are open. So R is more. In this particular picture, he has folded his hands, or he has brought his hands closer to him. So, or his hands are closed. In this case, R is very small. Now the thing is that in this case, R is more. R is more. So I will also be more. In this case, R is small. R is small. So I will also be small. I think this thing is clear. It is very, very simple. L is equals to I omega. What is I? I is mr square. M is mass. R is the distance from the axis of rotation. If we see this picture and if we see this picture, here R is more. This distance is more because hands are open. So I will be more. And here in this case, the hands are closed. The hands are closer to the body. R decreases, and if R decreases, I will also decrease. So I think this thing is clear, that how we can write inertia for this particular case and for this particular case. Okay. So what you need to understand that, one second, this is mr square. Now, so for this particular case, I is more, and for this particular case, I is less, and I have explained you that why inertia is more for this particular case when hands are open, and why inertia is less for this particular case. Okay, now the thing is that in order to conserve the angular momentum, we know this thing, L is equals to I omega. So for this particular case, if I is more, omega will be less. Okay, fine. Omega, the symbol, we are using this. Okay. So for this particular case, in order to conserve angular momentum, if inertia is more, omega will be less. And for this particular case, if I is less, omega will be more. What does it mean? It means that when hands are open, the velocity of this person with which it is rotating, with which he is rotating, it will be less. But as he closes his hands, as he pulls his hand towards himself, his velocity will increase. And this we are saying in accordance with angular momentum, in accordance with conservation of angular momentum. One more example we can discuss over here, that we know that an ice skater or a ballet dancer changes her speed of rotation when she is performing. How? Actually, when she stretches her hands, her moment of inertia increases, and hence angular speed decreases in order to conserve angular momentum. And when she folds her hands, when she folds her arms, her moment of inertia decreases and hence angular speed increases. So this is how she changes her speed of rotation when she is performing by doing experiments with her hands. So when she stretches her hands, angular velocity decreases. When she folds her hands, angular velocity increases. And this is all in accordance with conservation of angular momentum. And I think this is clear. One second. Next is, and the last is, conservation of charge. According to the law of conservation of charge, charge can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. It can be simply transferred from one body to another. Okay, like here, if we see these pictures, two bodies are there. This body, Q is equals to 0. Actually, Q represents the charge on a body. Q we use for charge. So, charge on this body is 0. That's why Q is equals to 0 is written over here. Another body is this body, and it is negatively charged. And it is negatively charged means what? It has excess number of electrons. We know this thing. When a body is negatively charged, it means what? It has excess number of electrons. When a body is positively charged, it has deficiency of electrons. Electrons are less. So here, if this body is negatively charged, how we came to know that it is negatively charged? Because here negative sign is there. Minus 4 electron. Minus 4 electron means what? 4 extra electrons are there in this body, and because of the presence of 4 extra electrons, this body is negatively charged. So I think this thing is clear. The charge on this body is minus 4e and the charge on this body is 0. So we are talking about two bodies, this body and this body. So when they are not in contact with each other, Q is equals to 0 for this body and Q is equals to minus 4e for this body. But when you place them in contact with each other, what will happen? Few electrons from this body will jump into this body. Now suppose if 2 electrons have jumped from this body to this body as they are placed in contact with each other, what will happen? Now the charge on these two bodies will change. The charge of this body will decrease from minus 4e to minus 2e. Why? Because 2 electrons have jumped from this body to this body. So it will have less charge now. Minus 2e will be the charge. Now this body, it has gained 2 electrons which are transferred from this body. So initially its charge was how much? 0. But now after gaining 2 electrons, its charge will be how much? Minus 2e. Okay. Now if I'll ask you that what is the total charge of the system before, when they are placed in contact with each other, you will say minus 4e plus 0 gives you what? Minus 4e. Simply you will add them. So what will be the total charge? Minus 4e. After placing them in contact with each other, now again if I'll ask you that what is the total charge of the system, again you will add these two charges. So minus 2e plus minus 2e, again it will gives you what? Minus 4e. It means what? Before also the total charge was minus 4e, and after also how much is the charge? How much is the total charge? Minus 4e. It means what? Charge is conserved. Charge is not changing. So this is what? This is conservation of charge. So charge, it is neither created nor it is destroyed. It is simply transferred from one body to another, and that's it. So I think this is also clear. So this was all about conservation laws, and this is how we have finished our chapter number 1, that is physical world. Thank you.